Hey YouTubers, so welcome back to another American Horror Story cult discussion video. We're going to be talking about episode 10, and where do I even start when it comes to this, not only this season, but this particular episode, really? It starts off in kind of the flashback terms. One of the things I've been saying is I really like the way they're doing flashbacks in this season. They're directly hinting at dates that we're all very familiar with if you were keeping up with the 2016 election at all, and they're showing relevant things going here and there. But the whole beginning of this episode I felt was like the high point of the entire season, and it built me up for the entire episode. It's like, oh man, I can't wait to see where they go with this, because they were giving us an idea of where Kai is coming from and how all this craziness actually had its roots built in something they talked about episodes ago that they had seemingly forgotten about, and kind of goes further beyond Kai, but also his grandiose ideas that he's been talking up these last couple episodes and building up to something that was a little less than expected. Of course, I'm talking about the whole concept of building up and creating like a female rage, the epitome of female rage, and creating a world where women run society other than men because they just boiled over and lost control. And that's interesting. I think that was kind of interesting. As much as I've been talking about in all these videos how interesting Kai's character is, I've even admitted over the last couple episodes, he's just gotten so ridiculous. The whole concept really has gotten so ridiculous. And the more and more they focus on him, other than some of the people I thought were terrible at the beginning of this show or this season, like Allie or even Kai or some of the more annoying people at the beginning of this arc, I really have done a complete 180, and I think the way that they're portraying this, we're not supposed to like Kai. He is supposed to be the leader of this cult mentality, and the more and more they focus on him, the more and more this show, or this season really, earns its namesake, the American Horror Story cult aspect of the season. And I understand that it's just been weird. This entire time, it's just been so weird that I was really enthralled really by the beginning of this episode. I felt like, okay, we're leading to something that was completely unexpected, and I want to see where they end this. We're so close to the ending. This has to be set up for the final end game of the season, and it's going to draw in all of these different aspects that we've been seeing and really showcase Allie's character arc and how she's the epitome of what the Zodiac Killer women group that we saw earlier on in the season was going to be about, and she was going to be the start of it or something like that. And then it just kind of shits it away. The whole thing shits it away, where we realize that no, that's not how it was. Maybe that's how it started, because Kai, even though he's always put up this air to himself that he is above the establishment, he's completely for the patriarchy, he wants women to be equal to him but also underneath him at the same time, and all of that. It wasn't a show. This was somebody who was, although he might have believed that's who he was just definitely going out for this and learning that he had this power, learning that he could create such chaos and become so needed by everyone else around him, that he's kind of just delved into his own fantasy at this point. And that's unremarkable. I understand the realistic aspect of it. I mean, it does feel a little bit more real than the way that they were setting up in the very first part of this episode, but it just kind of, it doesn't feel like it's something that this show would actually have done. Part of me feels like, watching the last couple seasons, this is a show that deals with zombies, aliens, vampires, ghosts that can talk to people and literally have babies with living people or stuff like that from Murder House. It to me, it felt like, okay, even though this whole season's been grounded in reality, this is going to be our jump, and we're going to get to see something in a far future on what Kai and everything that they were planning actually came about, and how Allie and Ivy and Winter and Beverly actually played into this. And even though they were even though he was putting them down the entire time, he was actually forcing them to go be up and up and up until they would eventually take over him and run for office themselves or do something else like that and create this revolution. And instead of him just being an asshole or being this fascist Nazi-esque cult mentality, it was really just all a gag. I think that would have been really cool, and kind of explaining maybe the horror of the season was going to be we're kind of a slave to our own perceptions of who we are versus what we're actually supposed to become and anything else like that. But they flushed it down the toilet immediately, almost immediately, where we get to see with the very next scene, you know, they're in the ice cream truck, or one of the scenes when they're in the ice cream truck, and we get to see just how crazy Kai's become. I mean, he believes that everyone is watching him. They're wiretapping his house and all that stuff. Ridiculous, I know, but that's his character, because he has 3 dead people in the upstairs bedroom with his parents and his brother that he's even started to talk to people. You know, he's talking to Marilyn Manson, who's also played by Evan Peters. I think that's kind of cool, but it's a little too late in the game to express that part of himself. If you're going to do that, maybe last episode was the time to do that, considering we had already seen him go a little bit off the deep end, but nowhere near as much as it is right now. And then to me, like, that's really what I have to say about this arc, or at least this episode and where this show is going. I wanted them to do something a little bit more fantastical, but when Allie kind of put a stop to it, you know, maybe we get a nice revenge arc with Allie and Beverly. That seems where they're going the next episode. But when Allie put a stop to the whole Zodiac idea, and whether or not Kai was really going to empower women, or maybe that's going to be the big twist at the end, we don't know, but it doesn't seem like it at this point. I feel like this is just kind of building up the way it was last episode into a nice revenge arc instead of something a lot more broad and a slight reference on where we are as a society. It's just really kind of delving into just a normal individual succinct revenge story, and I don't know. I don't know if I like that. This season's been really wonky in my opinion. I would actually like to say that it's been a good season. It's just been a little wonky. Maybe if I had approached this season like I've approached most of American Horror Story, I usually watch this show, binge watch it really. Once it comes out on home video, I get it and I binge watch it, or on Netflix or something. And I haven't watched this show week to week since the 2nd season. I have to say that this isn't a show that's as good watching week to week as it is binge watching. I think if you get the entire story up front, you don't have to wait and speculate and maybe think about where they're going and have enough time to kind of conceptualize where you would like them to take it. I think it's a far more interesting experience. And you know, this is just me spitballing. I know that this is never going to happen, but it would be kind of cool to have something like this on a Netflix series where it's an anthology type of series, more horror centric, and we can just completely watch it at our own leisure. We don't have to take it week to week or something else like that. That's what I would say. It would be cool. I'm pretty sure there must be something out there like this. I'm sure there's other horror movies or horror movie and horror shows out there that people want to point me to in the comment section below. I'm all open ears for that. I'm really open ears. I want to experience more horror content right now. I know Halloween's over, but I still have the bug in me, so I want to hear everyone's thoughts and opinions about this episode, American Horror Story in general, or American Horror Story Cult in general. What do you think of this season so far? We only got 1 episode left, so that's exciting. I can't wait to see exactly how they tie all this up. Maybe I'm wrong on all accounts. Honestly, I hope so, because where I think they're taking it right now, I'm not very impressed. I feel like certain parts of this season has been probably some of the best things that this show has ever done. But all in all, it's just a little wonky. Everything about this season has just not been hitting as well as some of the other seasons. Roanoke was a pretty good season. I feel like the shakeup at the very end of that show, or at least the halfway through that show, really breathed new life into it and allowed you to kind of sit back and breathe and get to know a different dynamic, and it didn't get old. Hotel is one of the other shows that it was a little wonky, but it all came together, at least in my opinion, at the end. There was some really, really standout performances, one of them being Evan Peters, who's usually a standout performance, and I would say he's the same thing this time, but his character has just become so nonsensical and so unbelievably irritating that I would have to step back from those claims. Of course, if you watch these videos every week, you know that I was saying the same thing about Sarah Paulson's character at the beginning of the show. I wasn't involved with her character very much. I didn't like it. I felt like it was too liberal. It was too on the nose. It was annoying. But now she's done a complete 180, and I wouldn't even say that that is okay. I mean, when you go from I'm afraid of clowns to literally killing your own wife and killing a woman you've never met, like shooting her in the back of the head, that's a little weird, and I don't necessarily think I like it. But like I said, we're going to wait till the last episode. I'm going to wait till the last episode to hold judgment and then come back to this entire show and just think about what I've seen here and whether or not it's really good. So I'll probably do a video for the last episode, and maybe a week later I'll do just a retrospective for the entire season. But with that being said, guys, I hope everyone enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what you think about this season, this episode, this show, and I hope everyone has a good day. It's been real.